Welcome to Code with Ceiven. Today, we want to go to the almighty CSS. Let me call it mighty CSS, okay? But you may ask, why CSS? Why do we need it? I want us to run a brief history about CSS. And thereafter, we'll start coding with CSS right away. But for today, let's talk about CSS. CSS, as I always tell you, stands for Cascading Style Sheet, CSS. Why the word cascading? That's why I brought this diagram. Take a look at this diagram. Let's assume that this is a pool of water that has different chambers. If you check, this is from the general chamber up here. So the water is dropping, becoming more specific until become generally specific. So you find that CSS is like a cascade. It moves from general to specificity. That's why I call it cascading. Okay, that's where the word cascading comes around. What about the style sheet? Also have a diagram to illustrate this. Imagine this kind of style. This is like a style sheet. Okay, you see everything is working together in an array where decorated come after the other. There's a kind of sequence. Okay, kind of sequence. So in CSS, you use style sheet language for it. That's why I call it cascading style sheet. Of course, just like HTML, it's not actually a programming language, but it's very, very essential for a web developer. Why, you might ask? Well, because before now, everything you see on the web is always there without color. Imagine a situation where you are in a web, you are typing something like, I'll give you a very brief example very soon. No color, no writer, just like you are typing my Microsoft Word. You didn't add anything to it, and you call that a website. How many people like it? But it interests you to know that prior to 1997, that has been how HTML or how web developers develop their website. So it's actually a nightmare for all web developers looking for how they can color their website. So in 1997, WSC recommended that they bring out a spreadsheet, a kind of section of document that will enable someone to be able to add color to his coding. And how is the color to be? Just take a look at this. This is their first development that they brought out, fonts, how to add fonts to your HTML. And of course, this is depreciated, it's no more in use, but this is how I used to do it before now. That's how font comes in. And then after to add font, the next one that comes about is how to add reference. Okay. I want to apologize for you. Sorry, the part took light, that was why. So if you check very well, you find out that after the fonts, then now as time goes on, there's a more reference, and they bring out color, they bring out face, and they bring out size. So that actually contributed tremendously to web developers. And at the end of the day, how will it look like? Let me show you so I see how it looked like. The three of them that was actually added to it. So the moment they brought it out, after that size and color and rest of them will now have this tray. But if you go to your MDN web docs, you find out that they are all depreciated. Okay, no more in use. So they come out with font, from font, we went into size, from there to center. I can actually center an element. But you may be wondering that how were they able to cope in those days with this? This is how they coded it. I don't want us to go and code that, so that's why I just bring out an image to show it. To look at how they coded it. Doc type, HTML, head. After that, you write the body. After the body, you put in center. You write your HL. And now, for you to now add those other features, you make use of table. And that is why today, table is no more in use in HTML. And if you check very well, we didn't go through table. I didn't teach you table because we're going to meet them in CSS. But before now, table is very, very pivotal for you to be a programmer or a web developer. You see your TR and TD was actually used. TR stands for the heading, TD stands for the body. No, but we don't want to go into that. So this is exactly how you can code this, and at the end of all this coding, this is what you achieve. Now, it's become more cumbersome for developers because there's no more division of labor. You know that in that same place, you are coding, you are writing, you are doing everything. You are styling all in one place. So sometimes there's a mistake. You want to start tracing your mistake, kind of debugging, it becomes a big problem. And so it didn't last long. until when one man come on board. His name is Hakun William Lee. I might not get the pronunciation correct, but just pardon me for that. But that is the name, okay? So through W3 school as well, he now brought out cascading style sheet. And this was a true recommendation that was done on 17 December 1996 and was revised on 11th April 2005. Okay, so through him, developers were happy because a lot of joy comes on board. Though then it was CSS1. We're going to use those ones, we're going to use the real CSS, which is CSS3. So having said that, you might now ask yourself, what is CSS? And like we said before now, CSS is cascading style sheet, and it's a language that is used to create documents on the web. And when we talk about CSS, is used for presentation of the web pages, like the content, or even how a web page is meant to look like. So that is why, if you remember when we started this training, I showed you a skeleton. After the skeleton, you see a house, right? Or a full human being, have a flesh, he has a body, he has style, he also on that way clothes, or a very beautiful house. So that design, that look, is what CSS is all about. You can use CSS to modify any HTML tag so as to deliver a branded experience in graphical browsers. You can also use CSS to access the pages with more primitive devices, But these days, sometimes, some devices like Internet Explorer, for you to use some CSS on them, you have to run some kind of programming. Adding a kind of JavaScript to them to enable them to work with it. But thank God, I believe none of us here is using Internet Explorer. But if there's anyone, just feel free to WhatsApp me differently and I'll tell you what to do, so that anyone that didn't run on your browser can actually run. But anyway, this is called graceful degradation, okay? So let's move ahead and see. Now, CSS has come on board. And what do you see? Separation of consign, division of labor. Just imagine this like a car pass. I'm just using a car to kind of explain this. In a car factory, someone be able to put the car, put the tire, put this. The division of labor, it makes work easy. That is how CSS. That's what CSS did to HTML. So some people can take over like UI, UX designers. Some people can say, okay, I'm in the front web, I'm in the back end, in the front end, and stuff like that. It makes things easy, it makes work easy, while some can also do all of them. Now, just to finalize our discussion on CSS, imagine this. We did this before now. This is a page. My website, home, about us, contact us, welcome to my website. Then at the down part is your footer. Just imagine this picture, okay? Now let's assume that, or let's add CSS to this and see how this picture will look like. Okay, let's see how this picture will look like. Look at it now. So comparing this to this, which one is more better? Is it not this? So having said this, I will say welcome to our CSS training. If you want to know how that was coded, this is just the coding for it, okay? How this CSS was coded. You can come over here, but don't worry about it, because this is what we're going to learn gradually in this course. So having explained the background of CSS, in our next class, we move ahead and take few theories and then start right away with CSS. Thank you for being there with me. If you like what you are learning, kindly send your comment section, give me a thumbs up. And feel free to comment. If you have any question, write it down on the comment section. I always take my time to go through all the questions and answers and try to provide answers the best way I could. Thank you for being there. See you in our next class. Alright.